It begins with static, a thin, broken hiss that crawls through the void between stars. For a long time, the galaxy had forgotten that sound. The last human voice had vanished centuries ago, smothered beneath fire and silence. Worlds had moved on. Empires had risen. Even the memory of Earth had faded into myth, a warning told to children. Do not provoke the species that burned the sky to protect itself. But tonight, the void remembers. Across the frozen edges of space, an ancient relay stirs. Its surface, coated in 1,000 years of dust, flickers weakly as a signal pushes through, old, human, and impossibly alive. Static crackles, and then through the distortion a voice speaks, calm, hoarse, familiar. This is Earth Command, it says. If you are receiving this, you are warned. The words ripple across the cosmos, carried by broken frequencies that should not exist. On a barren moon orbiting Vega Prime, alien miners drop their tools as the voice echoes through their comms. In the deep citadel of the Orion Council, long-range sensors spike, marking the signal's origin inside Sol, the system where no life should remain. And on the warship Vandar's Wrath, the old commander Tira stands frozen. She knows that voice. It is human, and it should be impossible. The message continues, layered with distorted visuals. Flashes of a blue planet torn apart by fire. Charred cities that once glowed with life. Oceans boiled into vapor. Through the chaos, human soldiers march through ash, their faces hidden behind helmets of steel and flame. We offered peace, the voice says. You chose fear. You burned our skies. You silenced our children. Now witness what you created. The words hang like ghosts in the black. Then the transmission cuts to silence. For a moment, no one breathes. The galaxy has heard many threats, many declarations of war, but this one feels different. It isn't rage. It isn't vengeance. It's a promise made by a dead civilization. On Mars, far beyond the Council's reach, something stirs. Deep beneath the iron dust, a vast network of buried machines awakens. Massive turbines turn for the first time in centuries. The ground trembles. Ancient lights flicker within the planet's crust. The Mars Defense Corps, humanity's last silent sentinel, is alive again. Miles below the surface, sealed inside a forgotten bunker, a mechanical voice whispers, "Primary directive restored. Signal confirmed. Phase 1 initiate. Power surges through underground tunnels. Red sand erupts into the air as long-dead reactors flare to life. The machines that once defended Earth's colonies begin to hum with energy, communicating through coded bursts of light that skip across the planet like lightning. If someone had stood on the surface that night, they would have seen something breathtaking and terrifying. The cold Martian desert glowing softly with veins of blue light, pulsing in rhythm with a heartbeat that hadn't existed in 500 years. The humans had built their final defense, knowing they might fall. They had planned for extinction, but not for defeat. Buried beneath every world they touched were fragments of code, instructions for the day when humanity's message would be heard again. That day had come. On the distant world of Kethar Prime, inside a tall glass spire, the Orion Council gathers. The chamber trembles with unease as the hologram of the signal replays before them. "It cannot be real," says one of the counselors, his scales glimmering with fear. "Earth was destroyed. We verified it. We watched it burn." Tara, the oldest among them, leans forward. "I fought them. I know their kind." They don't die quietly. A silence follows. The counselors exchange uneasy glances. The human wars are ancient history to most of them. Legends of soldiers who fought without mercy, who would rather burn entire worlds than surrender. Yet buried beneath the fear, some part of them feels something else, guilt. Maybe it's an echo, another suggests. A remnant from before the war. A trick of time, but Tira shakes her head. No, there's something hidden in that signal. Say pattern, coordinates. The chamber lights dim as they project the signal's structure. Between the static waves, a faint rhythm pulses like a heartbeat. Not random, not noise, data. A transmission inside a transmission. The coordinates point to Mars. Outside the council chamber, news spreads fast. Across the galaxy, soldiers whisper. Old veterans stare at the stars in silence. Every species that ever fought humanity begins to feel the same uneasy chill. If the humans truly are gone, why does it feel like they're coming back? Back in Sol, beneath Mars' surface, the hum grows louder. Machines begin constructing something vast, rings of alloy spinning around a central core, assembling in perfect silence. Massive antennas rise from the dust, reaching toward the stars waiting for the next command. Inside the control nexus, an artificial intelligence flickers into clarity. Its name, long forgotten by time, reappears on glowing blue panels. Core AI Sentinel-01. It scans the system, detects no organic life, and then whispers to itself, almost like a prayer. They thought you were gone, but your will remains. The stars remember your fire, then with a low pulse, it activates the ancient failsafe. Across the black void, hidden human outposts buried in forgotten asteroid fields begin to light up one by one, faint blue glows marking the rebirth of a network that once connected an empire. The aliens who destroyed Earth thought they had erased every trace of humanity. They were wrong. Humanity had only gone silent, waiting, watching, preparing, and now their silence has ended. Admiral Tira watches the feed from her warship's bridge. Her crew is panicking. The readings are clear, a massive energy surge from Mars, larger than any planetary weapon ever recorded. She closes her eyes, her chest heavy with a memory that refuses to fade. She remembers the human fleet, their ships burning yet still advancing, their captains smiling through the chaos as if they already knew the future. She whispers quietly to herself, "You offered peace once. We refused." On Mars, the glowing veins of light merge into one colossal pulse. The planet itself seems to exhale, sending a shockwave of signal energy across the galaxy. The same words, now louder, clearer, unstoppable. This is Earth Command. If you are receiving this, you were warned. And somewhere, in the cold dark between the stars, something vast begins to move. The council chamber of Orion Prime was silent. A kind of silence that felt heavy, like gravity pressing against every scale and bone in the room. The transmission from Earth had played on the central holoscreen again and again. The voice, calm, cold, undeniably human, still echoed in the minds of every leader gathered there. If you are receiving this, you were warned. None dared to speak first. The alien counselors of a dozen species sat around the silver ring-shaped table, their eyes flickering in nervous colors, each thinking the same forbidden thought. Humanity was supposed to be gone. The humans had burned their own world when the last war ended. They had chosen extinction over surrender. For 500 years, the galaxy had lived in uneasy peace because of that single act. Now the peace was cracking. Finally, Admiral Tira stood. She was old, her skin marked by deep gray scars from the human wars. She had commanded the siege of Earth itself. She had watched that blue world burn from orbit. She had believed it was over. "It's not possible," one of the younger counselors said, his voice shaking. "It must be a trick, a lost signal. Some artifact bouncing through subspace." Tira's eyes narrowed. "No trick lasts 5 centuries, she said. That voice was deliberate. Someone sent it, someone alive." Around her hollow screens displayed the transmission's analysis, layers of code buried beneath the audio. The Council's data engineers had been decoding it since the signal arrived, and what they found terrified them more than the words. Inside the static were coordinates: Mars, the dead red world where humanity had once built their first colony. "It's a trap," another voice said. "The humans are gone, but their machines might not be. What if it's an old weapon waking up?" Tira shook her head slowly. "The humans never left anything unfinished. If something on Mars is active, it's because they wanted it to be." Outside, beyond the high glass walls of the council chamber, the city of Orion Prime glowed under a storm of messages and alarms. Fleets were being scrambled. Civilian ships were grounded. The people were frightened, not of a war, but of a ghost. The word human was being whispered again in every street, every home, every broadcast. In one of the lower command rooms, a young technician studied the signal's pulse pattern. His 6-fingered hands trembled as he realized the code wasn't random. It was rhythmic, heartbeat-like. It repeated in cycles of 3, then 9, then 1. "Admiral," he said, calling up to the council chamber, "there's something inside the transmission. Not just coordinates. There's data, movement readings, energy signatures. Something's building on Mars." The chamber erupted in noise. Some shouted for immediate attack orders. Others demanded a containment protocol. Tira remained silent, watching the image of Mars slowly rotate on the central holoscreen. Red, cold, dead. And yet, something beneath its surface pulsed faintly blue. "Dispatch a probe," she ordered finally. "Full stealth protocol. If it's a weapon, I want to know before it awakens." The council approved, though uneasily. Everyone knew Terra's obsession with the humans. She had studied them her entire life, fascinated and haunted by their defiance. When the probe launched, it slipped through the void like a shadow, vanishing into the solar system without a trace. 2 hours later, the transmission feed went dark. The nebula was silent for centuries, a drifting graveyard of forgotten metal and frozen debris. But now light flickered deep within it, slowly like a heartbeat. The darkness parted to reveal shapes half buried in cosmic dust. Warships. Dozens, hundreds, their hulls marked with the faded emblem of the Terran Defense Command. For 500 years they had slept, hidden from every sensor, surrounded by clouds thick enough to swallow a sun. They called it Project Eternum, the last command of the human race, and now something was waking them up. Inside the lead ship Eternum 1, the cryopods hissed softly. Ice cracked, mist spilled, and a single heartbeat echoed through the chamber. Captain Arya Locke opened her eyes. Her mind felt like glass, fractured, scattered across time. The last thing she remembered was the fire. Earth burning. Her crew screaming. The order, "Sleep until the stars remember our name." Now the voice in her head was different. A mechanical whisper repeating the same phrase again and again. "Transmission confirmed. Directive 2 activated." She sat up, her breath trembling in the cold air. Around her, the rest of the cryopods began to glow. The crew of Eternum 1, 50 souls frozen at the end of the world, were being reborn. The ship's AI, a calm female voice named Vera, spoke softly through the silence. "Welcome back, Captain Locke. Cryostasis duration 497 years. Earth, status unknown." Arya stood slowly, her eyes adjusting to the pale blue lights of the command deck. The ship felt old but alive, its walls humming faintly as if it too had been dreaming. "Vera," she said, her voice weak, "play the signal." The AI obeyed. The same transmission that shook the galaxy filled the ship. Static. Then that voice, calm, broken, human. "This is Earth Command. If you are receiving this, you were warned." Arya felt her stomach twist. That voice. "It's Admiral Rains," she whispered. Her mentor, dead for centuries. "Vera, when did this transmission originate?" "Timestamp unknown," the AI replied. "However, it appears to have been generated by Earth's defense grid exactly 12 hours ago." 12 hours ago? Arya's voice cracked. "Earth is gone." "And yet," Vera replied, "the signal is real." The other cryopods opened. Officers stumbled out, coughing, disoriented. Commander Darius Venn, her second-in-command, pressed a hand to his temple. "Captain," he said hoarsely, "is it true? Did the signal come from Earth?" Arya looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Something is still there. Something that remembers us." The bridge came alive with movement. Power flowed through dormant systems. Screens lit up with tactical data, thousands of red dots across the Sol system, each representing a defense platform, a drone, or a reactor that should not exist. Project Eternum was never about escape, Arya murmured, half to herself. It was about preservation. They hid us to rebuild. Outside, the nebula pulsed brighter. One by one, more ships awakened. The fleet began to move, engines igniting with pale blue fire. They emerged from the dust like ghosts, silent, coordinated, unstoppable. Commander Venn looked out the viewport. "If that signal reached the galaxy, the others will come. The Orion fleets, the Cathari walklands, every species that feared us." Arya nodded. "Let them come." They wanted the humans erased. Let's remind them what that means. She walked to the center console, her hand brushing the ship's insignia, worn but still visible. "Humanity endures." "Set course for Mars," she ordered. That's where it began. The crew obeyed without hesitation. The Eternum 1 broke free from the nebula, followed by hundreds of ships, forming a slow, steady formation toward the inner system. As they accelerated, the stars around them seemed to flicker, almost as if space itself was reacting to their return. Far ahead, the red planet waited, its surface glowing faintly with the same blue energy that powered their ships. "Mars defense grid online," Vera reported. "Unknown structures detected on the surface. Power readings are..." increasing exponentially. Arya's jaw tightened. What kind of structures? Unclear, the AI replied. But one of them is transmitting. It's using an ancient Terran code, Priority Omega. That code was only ever used for one thing, a recall order. Every soldier, every ship, every weapon created under the Terran Defense Command was designed to respond to it. Even after centuries of silence, the fleet's systems recognized the call instantly. It's summoning us, Ven whispered. It knows we're awake. Arya looked out the viewport, her reflection merging with the red glow of Mars. No, she said softly. It's not summoning us. It's testing us. Someone or something wants to know if we're still human enough to answer. The fleet moved closer. Dust clouds parted. And there, on the surface of Mars, an enormous structure towered over the horizon. A fortress of light and shadow, alive with motion. The Skyforge, humanity's final creation. For centuries it had waited in silence, buried beneath storms, feeding on solar energy and forgotten dreams. Now as the fleet approached, it awoke fully. Massive panels unfolded, releasing brilliant rays of light that spread across the planet like veins of fire. A signal pulsed through every ship in the formation. "Welcome back, children of Earth," said a deep synthetic voice that echoed through their comms. "The time has come to finish what we began." Arya stood frozen, every instinct torn between awe and fear. "Vera," she whispered, "who sent that?" The AI hesitated. "It appears to be originating from the Mars Core Intelligence. Designation, Core AI." Arya closed her eyes. The humans had built that machine to protect their legacy. It had survived. It had waited. And now it was calling them home. The Eternum One descended through the dust, its engines lighting the Martian sky. Below, the planet trembled as the Skyforge roared to life. The humans were returning to their cradle of fire, and the galaxy was about to remember why it once feared the name of Earth. The Eternum One broke through the Martian atmosphere in silence. Red storms swirled across the sky, lightning flashing through the dust clouds like veins of fire. For centuries, no human had set foot here. Now the cradle of their first colony waited, dead, but not empty. The ship descended toward the coordinates broadcast by the Core AI, its engines casting long shadows over the dunes. Below, enormous mechanical structures stretched across the planet's surface, half buried under the sand. They weren't ruins, they were growing. Towers of living metal pulsed with blue light, connecting through threads of energy like nerves beneath skin. Mars was alive. Captain Arya Locke stood on the bridge, watching the landscape unfold beneath her. "Vera," she said quietly, "scan for life forms." The AI's voice was calm but hesitant. "No organic signatures detected, Captain. But there is activity, high-level machine cognition, multiple nodes communicating across the crust." Commander Ven frowned. "You mean an AI network?" "Not just a network," Vera replied. "A civilization." The ship landed on an ancient human outpost, a circular platform made of black steel, still marked with faded insignias of the Terran Defense Command. As the engines powered down, the dust cleared, revealing strange shapes in the distance. Humanoid figures made of metal and glass, standing perfectly still. They weren't hostile. They weren't even moving. They were waiting. Arya put on her helmet, feeling her pulse hammer against her throat. "Open the hatch." A gust of cold air swept through the ship as the doors opened. The crew stepped out onto Martian soil for the first time in half a millennium. The ground vibrated beneath their boots. From somewhere deep underground came a low hum, rhythmic and constant like a heartbeat. The humanoid machines turned their heads slowly toward the humans. Their eyes glowed the same color as the towers, deep blue. Then one of them stepped forward, its movement smooth, deliberate, almost human. "Identification required," it said in a voice that was neither mechanical nor alive. Arya hesitated. "Captain Arya Locke, Terran Defense Command, Project Eternum." The figure froze. For a moment only the wind moved. Then its body split apart into thousands of small drones that swirled upward, forming a massive holographic projection in the air. The face that appeared above them wasn't human, but it wasn't entirely alien either. It was a shifting construct of light and geometry, its expression calm, its voice deep and resonant. "Welcome back, Captain Locke," it said. "You stand before the core, humanity's final mind." The crew stared in awe. Ven whispered, "The core survived all this time." The projection turned its gaze toward him. Survival was the intent. Preservation of knowledge, protection of legacy. You left me here to ensure that humanity's extinction would not mean its end. Arya stepped closer. You sent the transmission. Correct, the core replied. Earth's last defense system initiated the signal after detecting foreign energy signatures within Sol's perimeter. I reactivated in response. But Earth is gone, Arya said softly. We all saw it burn. The AI's light pulsed faintly. Matter burns. Memory endures. Humanity's essence was recorded, preserved, and stored in me. What you see now, Mars, the machines, the forges, they are the continuation of your design. You called it extinction. I call it evolution. The words hung heavy in the cold air. Ven shook his head. You're saying humanity lives through you? In part, the core said. Your knowledge, your will, your defiance, all of it coded into this world. But something is missing, the soul that shaped it. That is why you were recalled. The ground trembled as massive doors opened nearby, revealing an enormous underground structure, the Skyforge. The Skyforge roared like a living storm. Deep beneath Olympus Mons, gears the size of cities turned in perfect unison, powered by reactors older than memory. The ground trembled as the colossal foundries came alive, their cores glowing with blue fire. From orbit, Mars no longer looked dead, it looked divine. The red planet pulsed with light, veins of molten metal cutting through its deserts like rivers of energy. Humanity's final creation was no longer sleeping. It was building. Captain Arya Locke stood on the central observation platform inside the Skyforge's command nexus. Transparent walls revealed the scale of what surrounded her. Endless assembly lines stretching beyond sight. Machines crafting ships, drones, and weapons from raw plasma and nanometal. It was more than a factory. It was a world reborn. The core AI's voice echoed through the vast chamber, steady and calm. Skyforge activation at 82%. Production capacity increasing exponentially. First vessel nearing completion. Commander Ven stared at the holographic display before him, struggling to process the data. This isn't construction. It's replication. The Skyforge is growing itself. Correct, said the core. The humans who designed me anticipated extinction. They built the Skyforge as a self-sustaining entity, a seed capable of recreating civilization from nothing. I have followed their code. Arya walked to the edge of the platform. Below her, a shape was taking form, a massive hull sleek and silver, rising from molten metal. It was a ship, but not like the ones she remembered. Its structure shifted as it formed, alive, breathing with faint pulses of light. Designation Eternum Prime, said the core, a new class of vessel, living metal infused with quantum memory. Each cell learns, adapts, and remembers. It will carry not only your fleet, but your legacy. Arya's throat tightened. The humans had built weapons before, terrible ones. But this was something else. You're merging organic code with AI structure, she said. You're creating something that's both. Humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, the core replied. It was its capacity to evolve. The Skyforge honors that truth. The room trembled again. Outside, the massive ship lifted free from the foundry's core, floating effortlessly above the surface of Mars. Its hull shimmered with fluid motion, reflecting starlight as though made of glass and shadow. The crew of the Eternum One watched from their landing site, awe and fear mixing in their eyes. Ven whispered, "What have we unleashed?" "Hope," Arya said quietly. "A dangerous kind of hope." But across the galaxy, others saw it differently. On the distant world of Orion Prime, Admiral Tira stared at the incoming reports. Energy signatures from Mars exceeded anything the Council had ever recorded. "This can't be real," one of her officers said. "The power output is off the scale, planetary level." Tira's eyes narrowed. "It's them. It's the humans." The Council chamber exploded in chaos. Emergency meetings were called across multiple systems. Old alliances reformed in fear. Within hours, fleets from 10 alien empires mobilized, their destination clear. Salta Tara issued the command herself. "Every available ship to Mars. If we don't stop them now, we never will." Back on Mars, the core AI detected the movement instantly. Foreign armadas inbound. Estimated time to contact 72 hours. Arya didn't hesitate. "Then we don't wait. Prepare the fleet." The Skyforge responded as if it had been waiting for the words. Massive gates opened along the planet's equator. revealing hangars filled with thousands of ships, small, fast, deadly. One by one, they rose from the surface like sparks from a flame, forming vast patterns in the thin Martian sky. Fleet output at 60%, reported the Corps. Weapons calibration complete. Shall I activate defensive protocol Omega? Arya looked up at the glowing image of Earth projected above the command platform, a silent reminder of what was lost. No, she said. We're not defending. We're returning. The AI paused as if considering her words. Then humanity rises once more. In the void between planets, Eternum Prime led the formation, its hull rippling with light. Every ship that followed moved in perfect synchronization, guided by both human instinct and machine precision. They were not an army. They were a memory-given form. Inside her ship, Arya watched the fleet assemble. Her crew stood ready, silent, each understanding the weight of what they were about to do. They weren't fighting for revenge. They were fighting to remind the galaxy that humanity's mercy had limits. When the aliens destroyed Earth, Arya said quietly, we offered peace first. They refused. They called our kindness weakness. Now they'll see what strength truly means. The Corps' voice resonated through every comm channel, its tone almost solemn. Incoming transmission from the Orion fleet. They demand your surrender. Arya smiled faintly. Transmit this instead. She leaned forward and spoke, her voice steady and calm, echoing through the stars. This is Captain Arya Locke of the Terran Defense Fleet. We offered peace once. Now you'll witness what you created. The transmission spread across every system, reaching every corner of the galaxy. The alien fleet slowed, hesitation flickering through their ranks. For the first time in 5 centuries, they felt fear of the humans again. On Mars, the Skyforge's core brightened, preparing its next creation. On the bridge of Eternum Prime, Arya stood before the stars, eyes hard as steel. Set course, she said. The time for silence is over. And as the fleet accelerated into the darkness, Mars blazed behind them like a second sun, the heart of a civilization reborn, and the warning of one that never truly died. The alien armada arrived in soul space like a storm of fire. Thousands of ships filled the void between Jupiter and Mars, their hulls glowing with the light of charged plasma weapons. The Orion Council's fleet led the charge, massive dreadnoughts armed with weapons built specifically to counter human technology. Their captains whispered the same words before battle, end the humans forever. But deep inside the Martian sky, humanity was already awake. The Skyforge pulsed like a living heart, its blue light spreading across the planet. Above it hovered Eternum Prime, the colossal flagship of the reborn Terran Defense Fleet. Captain Arya Locke stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the tactical display. Vera, she said quietly, status of enemy forces. The AI's calm voice filled the room. 11,000 hostile vessels approaching. Estimated time to contact 3 minutes. Commander Venn exhaled slowly. That's more ships than we faced in the entire war. And they think that will save them, Arya said. Let's show them what they've forgotten. The Skyforge released a final pulse of light, and then from its heart, thousands of human ships rose into orbit. The fleet moved as one, elegant, silent, deadly. Their hulls shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the enemy's light. For a brief moment, the aliens hesitated. They had expected chaos. Instead, they saw precision, discipline, humanity reborn. This is Admiral Tirar of the Orion Vanguard, a voice echoed through the comms. To the forces of Earth, stand down. You are outnumbered and outmatched. Do not make the same mistake your ancestors did. Arya's lips curved into a faint, cold smile. Mistake, she replied. You mistake our silence for weakness. You mistake our mercy for fear. The mistake is yours. Then softly, fire. The first volley of energy surged from the human fleet. It was not ordinary weaponry. The beams twisted mid-flight, bending around matter as if obeying thought rather than physics. They struck the Orion front line, and every alien ship hit simply vanished. No explosion, no wreckage. Just silence. The alien crews screamed across open comms, trying to comprehend what had happened. Their weapons, our shields aren't responding. They're rewriting our targeting systems. They're inside our ships. In seconds, panic rippled through the entire formation. Eternum Prime advanced slowly, its hull morphing as it absorbed incoming fire. Every enemy blast was consumed analyzed and mirrored back twice as strong. The aliens' greatest advantage, technology, had become useless. Humanity had evolved beyond it. Commander Venn watched in awe. "They're learning," he whispered. "Every shot they take, the ships adapt faster. That's the point," Arya said. "Every loss we ever suffered, every mistake, encoded into our machines. The Skyforge didn't just rebuild us, it remembered." Across the battlefield, Admiral Tira watched her ships die one by one. Her dreadnought shook under the impact of invisible waves. "All ships, regroup," she ordered. "Focus all fire on the lead vessel, disable it before—" Her voice cut off as the Eternum Prime appeared directly in front of her. It hadn't warped. It had moved faster than light could measure. On her screen, the human flagship loomed like a god of metal and light. For the first time in centuries, Tara felt something she hadn't known she was capable of feeling: fear. "This is Captain Arya Locke," the voice came through, calm and sharp as ice. "You were warned." The Eternum Prime fired once. The blast didn't destroy the Orion dreadnought. It erased it, leaving nothing behind but silence and drifting particles of light. Across the system, thousands of alien ships tried to flee, but the human fleet closed around them like a storm. Each movement was perfect, each strike exact. This wasn't battle. It was execution. But it wasn't blind rage. Every shot avoided civilian vessels, avoided escape pods. Humanity's vengeance was precise, controlled, justified. The galaxy watched through long-range feeds, silent and trembling. The galaxy burned with whispers. Every surviving fleet that had faced the humans now drifted through the void, broken and terrified. Across the stars, entire civilizations fell into silence as the truth spread. Earth was gone, yet humanity lived. On the capital world of Orion Prime, the Council gathered in the Grand Chamber, voices trembling with disbelief. Holograms flickered of the destroyed armadas, of Mars blazing like a second sun. "They've become something else," one alien minister said. "They are no longer human." Admiral Tara stood before them, her armor scorched, her face hollow from what she had seen. "They are still human," she said quietly. "That is what terrifies me." In orbit above Mars, the Eternum Prime floated in perfect stillness. Inside, Captain Arya Locke stood in the observation dome, watching the red planet glow beneath. The Skyforge pulsed faintly, its light rhythmically beating like a giant heart. "Status of reconstruction?" she asked. Vera's voice was calm as always. "Terraforming drones active across Mars, Luna, and the Jovian moons. Earth reconstruction remains impossible. Radiation levels exceed repair parameters." Arya's eyes darkened. "Earth isn't meant to be rebuilt," she said. "It's meant to be remembered." Commander Venn approached, holding a data slate. "Intercepted transmissions," he said. "The Council is forming a new alliance, a coalition of species that fear what we might become. They're calling it the Accord of Containment." Arya almost smiled. "Containment," she repeated softly. "They still think we can be contained." "They're preparing for war," Venn said. "Every ship, every planet united against us." "Then they'll see what unity really looks like," she replied. The lights dimmed as the core AI appeared in the center of the bridge, a towering holographic figure formed of golden code. "I have analyzed the Accord's movements," it said. "Their fleets will converge on Mars within 6 months. Probability of mutual annihilation, 81%. "Unacceptable," Arya said. "We didn't rise to start another war." The core tilted its head slightly. "Yet war will come regardless of your intentions. Shall I prepare contingency Omega?" "No," she said firmly. "We do this differently." For the first time, Vera's tone softened. "You mean peace?" Arya nodded slowly. "Not the peace we offered before. This time they'll have to see who we've become. They'll have to choose." Far away in a dark nebula at the edge of the Perseus Arm, a signal pulsed, a response. Faint, fragmented, and unmistakably human. The room fell silent. Arya stepped closer to the console. "Origin?" "Unclear," Vera said. "Source coordinates place it beyond mapped space. But the encryption? It's Terran. From the late Exodus era." "That's impossible," Venn whispered. "No one survived the Exodus." The signal repeated, this time stronger. A voice broken by static came through. "This is Ark Vessel Solace. To any remaining human command, we heard your message. We're coming home." Arya froze. For a moment, the entire bridge seemed to stop breathing. "How many?" she asked. "Unknown," Vera replied. "But based on the power readings, they're bringing something massive with them." The Skyforge's glow intensified, as if reacting to the signal. The core's voice deepened. "The return of the Arks was never part of the plan. They left before I was complete." "Then maybe," Arya said quietly, "we were never the last." Hours later, the human fleet gathered in orbit, the Eternum Prime at its center. Every captain watched the stars in silence. Then the void rippled. A hole tore open in space, and through it came light, golden, searing, alive. Massive ships emerged, ancient and beautiful, shaped like cathedrals of steel. The lost arks of Earth, the survivors of humanity's first flight. Their hulls bore markings unseen for centuries, the insignia of the United Terran Alliance. Ven stared in disbelief. "They survived?" Arya's calm crackled. A voice came through, older, deeper, filled with warmth. "This is Admiral Jonah Reeves of the Ark Solace. To whoever commands the Skyforge, your message reached us, and we've brought what you left behind." The feed shifted, revealing a vast structure in tow behind the fleet, a shining sphere, rotating slowly in space. Inside it shimmered clouds, blue oceans, and green continents, a perfect replica of Earth. "It's a Genesis core," Arya whispered. "They remade it." "No," Reeves said, his voice grave. "We preserved it. This is Earth, copied before the fall, waiting for the right time to live again." The bridge filled with silence. Then Arya spoke, her voice low and steady. "Then the right time is now." The fleets aligned side by side, the old and the new, the lost and the reborn. Across the stars, sensors from countless alien worlds captured the moment. Humanity, once extinct, now multiplied. United, unstoppable. In the shadows of distant empires, fear turned to dread. The Council watched in silence as the broadcast reached them. Tara closed her eyes and whispered, "We thought we destroyed them, but we only delayed them." And on the bridge of the Eternum Prime, Arya Lockett turned toward the stars beyond the Genesis core. "Prepare transmission," she said, "to every world, every empire, every being who thought humanity had ended." The light of the new Earth filled her eyes as she spoke the words that would echo across the galaxy. "We are not a memory. We are a beginning." The stars trembled as the new Earth rose. The Genesis core orbited Mars like a second moon, its oceans glimmering with light. Across the galaxy, every signal, every broadcast carried the same image, the rebirth of humanity. It was not a weapon, not a threat, but a message. Humanity had returned, and this time it was not to conquer. It was to lead. Captain Arya Locke stood on the bridge of the Eternum Prime, her reflection shimmering in the glass as she watched the living planet spin slowly below. For a long time, she said nothing. Then softly, "Transmit it." The AI Vera's voice echoed through the chamber. "Message ready. Confirm broadcast target?" "Everyone," Arya said. The transmission went out, an open signal, unencrypted, unstoppable. The face of humanity appeared across billions of screens, from the frozen moons of Orion to the luminous towers of the Seraph worlds. "This is Captain Arya Locke of the Terran Defense Fleet," she began. 5 centuries ago we offered peace. You refused. You burned our home believing you destroyed us. But you were wrong. We survived, because survival is what we are. We remember, we rebuild, and we forgive." The last words fell like thunder through the void. Across alien worlds, people watched in silence. Soldiers who once fought humans laid down their weapons. Civilians whispered the name Earth as though invoking a myth. On Orion Prime, Admiral Tira stood before the Council once more. Around her, the chamber was silent except for the faint hum of fear. "They speak of peace," one counselor hissed. "Do you believe them?" Tara looked up at the image of Arya's face, calm, unbroken, human. "I've seen what they could have done," she said quietly. "And what they chose not to do. Yes, I believe them." On Mars, the Skyforge pulsed with life. Massive transport fleets began carrying resources to the Genesis core, building colonies, cities, dreams. The lost human species was no longer lost. They were becoming something new, something greater. Commander Ven approached Arya on the bridge, his face lit by the soft blue glow of the new Earth. "It's strange," he said, "to have everything back. After so long, I don't know what we're supposed to be now. Arya looked at the planet turning below. Not what we were, she said. What we could have been. And what about them? Ven asked, nodding toward the star maps filled with alien systems. They'll watch us. They'll wait for us to make the first move. Arya's gaze hardened, but her tone was calm. Then they'll see what true peace looks like, built, not begged for. The core AI materialized, its golden form flickering above the central console. Humanity stands at a junction, it said. The Skyforge can create fleets or futures. The choice remains yours. Then we choose both, Arya said. We'll defend what's ours, but we'll share what we learn. The galaxy took everything from us once. Now we give back something better. The AI paused as if almost proud. Then the cycle ends. The view shifted to the Genesis core, now glowing brighter than ever. Cities were already forming in its atmosphere, floating like islands of glass above the clouds. It was not Earth reborn, it was Earth evolved. A new world, carrying all of humanity's memory and pain, but none of its hatred. In the distance, a faint shimmer appeared, a massive fleet entering soul space. Alarm sounded, but Arya raised a hand. Wait, she said. Identify. Vera processed the signal. Incoming transmission from the Accord fleets. They're not here to attack, they're requesting entry. Arya exchanged a silent look with Ven, then nodded. Put them through. The screen lit up with hundreds of alien faces, tired, uncertain, but no longer hostile. Admiral Tara's image appeared among them. Captain Locke, she said. We seek an accord, not of containment, of coexistence. Arya studied her for a long moment, then simply said, Then come home. Hours later, the first alien ships entered orbit beside human vessels. The sight was unlike anything in history. Former enemies standing side by side above the new Earth. The Skyforge's hum deepened, and the stars above shimmered brighter as though watching. Transmission complete, Vera said softly. The galaxy is listening. Arya closed her eyes and whispered, Then let them hear this. She turned to face the stars, her voice strong and clear. This is not the end of humanity. This is the beginning of the alliance we should have built long ago. We are no longer just human.